we are going to wrap this episode up with a couple questions we received. First one, while on the subject, a person asks, in your blog, you talk about water-based serums, suspensions, and powders. Is there an ideal vitamin C format? Generally help, please.
I would say no. Of the three, I would vote for water-based serums. They're still the more proven format in terms of skin benefits. Like vitamin C, to backtrack a little bit, that is the OG format,
Yes.
right? It's tested usually in combination with vitamin E or ferulic acid. It is very unstable in this format. So you'll see in our blog post where we talk about being mindful of how you store it, being mindful of color changes you might experience. And that's why, and because it's so unstable in water-based serums, no matter what you put around it, it's slowly going to go bad, or not so slowly going to go bad. That's why the suspensions and the powders came out. Suspensions is probably my least favorite format. So first of all, when it's not dissolved and when it's just suspended in some sort of oil or silicone, there are some papers out there that's like, oh, it still totally works in this format. But there isn't that many that prove that it works. Or you can't even say that it works just as well as a water format.
Yeah.
All we can say is like, it does something, right? But what that something means, I don't really know. And I also find a lot of suspensions on the market are really gritty. It's not done super well. I do not want to experience sandpaper texture when I'm applying my vitamin C serum. So that's my least favorite.
I'm just going to add in, like, for people who kind of are confused by or just need kind of like a even more basic breakdown. Just looking at percentages of an active is only one layer of proving, or I guess testing. The next one is the format that it comes in can also dictate its efficacy as well. So that's why, it's not always potato to potatoes in comparison. So that's one aspect. And the other thing is when Gloria talks about suspension, what that means is you're not actually solubilizing the vitamin C like you're doing in a water-based serum. What you're doing is you're actually, think about like taking powder and then like putting
like a slurry.
Exactly, in a slurry or some sort of like glue or paste, and you're kind of just like mixing it in, right? That powder is still there. It's not actually dissolving in the mixture. It's because of that general like viscosity and whatnot that you're kind of creating this suspension of particles. And so that's why we see this as a very different class than the water-based serum. So just wanted to make sure people understood that.
Yeah, and powders is just straight vitamin C in its raw form.
Yes.
This is very stable. That's how when you buy vitamin C as a raw material, that's what it comes in, because the crystal form, it's like having salt crystals, right? Like it's gonna chill there for forever.
Yes.
But I will say the downside to that is A, you don't really know how much you're using, and B, a lot of companies sell it for really cheap in its 100% form.
Like in crystal form.
In crystal form. So it has issues dissolving into your products, or they end up instructing you to mix it or like dump it into another product, and then it's going to start degrading anyway. And then lastly is because, as we mentioned in the first decode, vitamin C has really low pH.
Yeah.
Most of these come in raw form. So when you're mixing in with your serum, you're creating something that can be pH, we're talking as low as like a 2 or something. So you're actually accidentally creating something that your skin might be sensitized to. So that's why it's kind of like it's not done super well.
Yeah, and I was also going to say a lot of formulas, I guarantee you, are not robust enough to handle a low pH.
Oh, yeah.
We can attest to that.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of those emulsions and whatnot, they're just not meant for that. And that's one thing to pay attention to when you use powders, is just seeing your general formula change. Any sign of that is a pretty clear sign it is dying and not compatible.
We're talking about gel to water transformations, cream to curdled cream transformation.
Curdled
all bad
cream
signs.
is very bad. Sometimes you even see color changes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So hopefully that's helpful. We would say if you just want to like an easy, like, I don't want to think about it, just choose a water-based serum. That's probably your tried and true. And then just go through it diligently.
Yes.
That's it.
Rapidly. Vominos.
Yes. Okay, the second question is residual from our sunscreen challenge. This was about our last sunscreen we trialed, which happened to be a very popular one that was requested. This person writes, I found Supergoop Unseen Sunscreen to be a great primer. It's my go-to as a layer underneath my makeup. Is there any worries there? I guess this is generally if you use your sunscreen as a primer and layering over with makeup.
Oh, I was waiting for you to answer this one.
I have one thought. Okay. I can totally, after testing it, I will say, yes, I can totally see how it is a fantastic primer because that thing is just
Straight
dimethical.
silicones.
Yeah. But I have one worry, and it's not even about layering under makeup. It's that, are people applying this as a primer? Because that's really terrifying. Because I think about the amount you apply as a primer, it's very different.
Yeah.
I would say it's significantly less than a sunscreen. And that would be the only thing where I'm like, are you applying enough?
Yeah, that's kind of our thing with a lot of hybrid formulas in general is you are most likely under applying and something like a primer, like everyone loves to say a little bit goes a long way when they describe a product, right? Like, for example, our Mr. Reliable Moisturizer, a little bit goes a long way.
Bon
Fantastic. Very, very moisturizing. Cool. Not the descriptor you want for your sunscreen.
Yeah.
Because these are weighted out to give you that efficacy.
Yeah.
And when I think about primer, I'm not someone that wears a lot of base makeup, so I don't have a ton of experience using primer. But when I do use it, it's a very thin layer.
Yeah.
It's like barely not even a dime size. It's like a teeny tiny amount. Just as long as I can spread a thin layer over my face, that's good enough for me.
Yes.
And I can tell you that the Supergoop on thing is not, it's something that if I apply like that, sure, it's an okay texture, but it's not something I'm going to want to use 2 fingers full.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that was just, it's also our check-in with you guys, like, are how much of these kind of primer sunscreens are people actually using? Because I think that that's really the only issue. It totally makes sense that it could layer well under makeup. So I'm not even worried about that aspect. But that's the part where I was just like, I'm very worried.
Yeah, so I would say on makeup days, yeah, it's okay to layer like that, but don't expect it to give you the
proper coverage.
Yeah, the coverage and the protection level that's stated on the packaging. Wear a hat, I guess.
Seems like it goes against the whole wearing makeup thing.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. Don't spend that much time outside on those days.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.